Hello everyone. Our lesson today is on creativity, and this is level 1 mock speaking exam. Of course, it's a listening and speaking exam, and the title of the assessment or the mock exam or practice exam, as some people call it, is creativity. As you know, to create, it means to make something new, to give a new idea, to do something new, to do something original. So creativity means making new ideas, producing new ideas, making new things, yeah, or doing new things. It could be like cooking something in a special way, this is creative. Playing music in a special way, this is creative. So creativity is about everything in our life. So you need to understand the topic of the assessment or the exam. Of course, in the exam you can use a dictionary, and then you can find any difficult words. And you need to understand the topic, because understanding the question is half the answer. So if you look at the questions, we have got activity 1. As you can see, you have got 15 minutes to do this activity. Ask your tutor, your teacher, for the recording. So I'm going to play the recording for you. Listen to the recording and answer the questions. So the teacher is going to give you what? The activity 1. What you have to do, read the questions carefully and slowly. Read the questions carefully and slowly. Number 2, if you find any difficult words, use a dictionary and look up the meaning of these difficult words in your dictionary. And number 3, try to understand the question, because understanding the question is half the answer. Number 4, try to think about the answers in your brain. Sometimes the question tells you where you can find the answer. So, for example, the recording is a conversation, an interview, a debate, a talk. You have to know the meaning of these words, and you have to know how to find the answer. Sometimes the answer is not in the language, is not in the English language. Sometimes it is in the environment and in the language. For this question, so if it is a conversation, it means you have got at least 2 people or more than 2 people speaking about something. It could be in a restaurant, it could be in a cafeteria, it could be in the street. So that's a conversation. Or in a college. An interview, so you will have one person being interviewed by another person, or you may have one person being interviewed by a group of people. So you've got question and answer. This is the interview. A debate, what does it mean? It means you've got people discussing a certain point or topic. So you've got people for the point and people against the point. And this is what we call a debate. And most of the time they discuss a controversial question. A talk, again, you may have one person, delivering a topic, or you may have a group of people speaking to audience or to a number of people. So when you understand the meaning of these words, you have to look for what? 2 things. Number 1, you listen to the language, and number 2, you have to listen to the environment, which is how many people are in the video, in the audio file. Who is speaking to who? Do we have any noise? Do we have only 2 people? Do we have one person and many people? Are the many people speaking to this person? Or maybe one person is only speaking to these people, or 2 people are speaking to 2 people. So you have to get a feel, you have to feel the conversation, understand the language, and then understand the background noise, or if you want, the environment. And this is what I meant, understanding the question is half the answer. How long has D been a working musician? So again, how long? You are looking for the number of years. And also you can see D is in capital letters. It means this is the name of a person. What do artists like to talk about? So artists talk about something. What is it? So you plan this in your mind, you plan the answer, and save this question in your mind, and then you plan to find the answer in the recording. Number 4, Give 2 other tasks involved in this job, other than playing music. So what is a task? A task is an activity. It is an exercise. It's an assignment if you want. So D is involved in more than 2 tasks. D does more than 2 exercises, or she does more than 2 activities. But the question is about 2, and that's why 2 is in bold. It is dark writing, as you can see. And when you write the answer, don't write about playing music, because you have to give 2 tasks, and these 2 tasks do not include playing music, because the question is 2 tasks other than playing music. Number 5, what type of music does D play? So in your mind, you try to plan the answer, and you say to yourself, we've got classical music, romantic music, jazz music, rock music. So you are looking for a type of music. So you plan this. So when you listen to the audio file, maybe it will be easy for you to find the answer and write it quickly. Number 6, what is D's overall message? In general, what is the message about? So D is the name of a person, and she is a female. And what is the message? When people, write or speak, they have a message, they have a purpose, they want to tell you something. So what is it? Giving up the day job was a bad decision. It means because D gave up the day job, this was a bad decision. Being a doctor would be a better choice. So maybe it would have been better if D had worked or had found a job as a doctor. Wedding musicians can become famous. If you have a musician and this musician works, in weddings, maybe this musician will be famous. Making a living as a musician is possible. So if you want to make a living, if you want to earn something, to earn money, so one way is to work as a musician, and it is possible so to make a living if you work as a musician. So these are the 4 kind of like options. You give up the job, you don't do it. Better to work as a doctor. If you work as a musician in weddings, you will be famous. You can work as a musician and make money. So you try to understand these questions and save them in your mind. So when you listen, it's going to be easy to find the answer. Number 7 is the most difficult question, because this is the overall tone of the recording is formal. So you have to know what formal English is. When people say thank you, when they say I'm very well, for example, this is what? A formal type of English. Positive tone. What is a positive tone? So people, for example, encourage you. They say well done, thank you, keep going, you are very good. So the tone is positive. Humorous people, would like to make you laugh. So they can tell you a joke, they can tell you a story. Depressing means very sad. So the tone, it means you have to feel the language. It's not enough to understand only the words and sentences. You have to feel the language. So you have to listen to the tone of the voice. Which voice? D's voice. Who is D? The female, in the audio file. So now I'm going to play the recording, and then I will show you the answers and then how you can find the answers quickly. Listen to the recording.
Level 1, Creativity. Hi, my name is Dee and I'm a professional musician. This year is my 10th anniversary of making a living through music, and I couldn't be happier with how my life has turned out. When I gave up my day job 10 years ago, I'd no idea what my life would end up looking like. But I knew that whatever happened, I'd be happier if I at least tried to build my life around my passion for playing music. Artists often like to talk about when they quit their day job. It's a nice way of marking the difference between our pre-artist life and our post-artist life. But in reality, I still have a job. It may not look like yours, but it's still a job. My job is playing at weddings. That's what I do to make a living. And just like a doctor or a salesman, I work hard so that I can make money to live the kind of lifestyle I want. There's more to being a musician than just playing music. So when I'm not playing gigs, I'm rehearsing, arranging songs, and writing lyrics. Being a jazz musician at weddings doesn't bring fame and fortune, but to be quite honest, I'm not concerned with what anybody thinks about my job. It lets me play music and pays the bills. Now, just because I don't care what people think about my job, it doesn't mean I don't care what people think of me as an artist. Many people who criticise the music industry today point to some mythical golden age when they think it was easier for a working musician to make a living. I don't believe such an age ever existed. All working artists have had to struggle to be creative and make a living doing multiple jobs. It's never been any different, and it may never be. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. Thanks for listening.
So you listen to the recording. Of course, in the exam, you listen to the recording 3 times. Some students find it easier just to listen and then write, notes, take notes, and then they listen again and they find the answers for the questions. Because, we have different ways of learning, but other students like to look at the questions and listen, and if they find the answer, they can tick it. So you choose which way is best for you. Now, activity 1, you can see the recording is a talk. Why is it a talk? Number 1, one person is speaking. So definitely we have got audience, or we've got a group of people listening to this person, and this person is the woman. She introduces herself at the beginning of the talk. She tells you about her career history and her job as a professional musician. At the end, she says, "Thank you for listening." So the beginning of the talk, she introduces herself. At the end, she says, "Thank you for listening." You only hear the voice of one person. That's why it is a talk. Number 2, how long has they been a working musician? The answer is 10 years. Number 3, what do artists like to talk about when they quit their day job? So quit means leave. They don't want to do this job, they leave it. So artists like to talk about when they quit their day job. Give 2 other tasks involved in this job other than playing music. Rehearsing. What is rehearsing? Means before she plays music, she sits and she tries to play music, maybe at home. She is training herself to play music. She does this many times. Then she goes to play music in front of people. But rehearsing means she is trying, she is practicing, she is training herself at home to play music. She does it many times, and when she is ready, she goes to play in front of people. And this is what we call rehearsing. Arranging songs, putting songs in order, arranging, and writing lyrics. Of course, lyrics are the words for the songs. So she writes the words and the sentences for a song, and this is what we mean by lyrics. What type of music does Dee play? It is jazz. And you remember when I said what type of music? I said in your mind you have to think it could be classical, romantic, rock or jazz. And here it is. It is what? Jazz. Number 6. What is Dee's overall message? The answer is making a living as a musician is possible. How do you know? Because the answer to this is at the beginning of her talk and at the end of her talk. And this is very important for your listening and for your writing. So if it is a talk, the beginning of the talk and the end of the talk are so important. And that's why we choose this answer. Making a living as a musician is possible. How do we know? Because the answer to this question is at the beginning of her talk and at the end of her talk. The overall kind of like tone of the recording is, the answer is positive. Why? I will tell you why. Because you can tell from the tone of her voice, the way she is speaking. So it's a relaxing tone. It is very positive, very encouraging, very warm. Also, the female, said at the beginning, I couldn't be happier with how my life has turned out. So it means she was very happy and, so much happy because her life has changed. Also, she said, I would be happier if at least I tried to build my life around my passion for playing music. And then she continued to say, in reality, I still have a job. So she is happy because she has a job. She is happy because her life has changed. She is happy again because she's building her life around music. So all these sentences, and you hear the word happy, 2 times, and also she tells you, I still have a job, I can pay the bill. All these sentences tell you she is what? Positive. And also the tone of her voice is positive. Let me play the recording again, and let's say I am a student and I'm trying to write the answers down. So, but I will stop, or pause the recording to show you how to write the answers down.
Level 1, Creativity. Hi, my name is Dee and I'm a professional musician. This year is my 10th anniversary of making a living through music, and I couldn't be happier with how my life has turned out.
So now you can listen and you can listen to one person, and this person is talking to audience. So from the beginning, it's a talk because you cannot hear any kind of people around, and she introduces herself, as I said, and she talks about her career as a musician. So I can take talk from the beginning. Let's continue.
When I gave up my day job 10 years ago,
she gave up her job 10 years ago. So I can take 10 years.
I'd no idea what my life would end up looking like. But I knew that whatever happened, I'd be happier if I at least tried to build my life around my passion for playing music. Artists often like to talk about when they quit their day job. This
is the third answer. So number 2, as I said, 10 years. So she had a job. She gave up her job. She left one of the jobs and then she started working as a musician, and she said 10 years. That's why I write 10 years. The second one, artists like to talk about when they quit their day job. And this is the answer for number 3.
Nice way of marking the difference between our pre-artist life and our post-artist life. But in reality, I still have a job. It may not look like yours, but it's still a job.
So now you listen and you feel you are not writing anything, but in your heart and mind. You feel, she said, I couldn't be happier, I still have a job. So you can tell she is really positive, the tone of her voice, the sentences she is using. So as if you are coming to the answer to the question about the tone of the conversation, or the tone of her talk.
My job is playing at weddings. That's what I do to make a living. And just like a doctor or a salesman, I work hard so that I can make money to live the kind of lifestyle I want. There's more to being a musician than just playing music. So when I'm not playing gigs, I'm rehearsing, arranging songs, and writing lyrics.
So now she started her talk in this, part of the talk by saying there is more to being a musician than playing music, which means she plays music, but in addition there is more to this. She does what? Rehearsing, arranging songs, and writing lyrics. So the sentence, there is more to playing music than, or there is more to being a musician than playing music. So it's not just playing music. Being a musician doesn't mean only playing music. She does more things. So the beginning of this sentence tells you, she's going to tell you about the tasks or the exercises or the activities she's involved in. And these activities are what? Rehearsing, arranging songs, and writing lyrics.
Being a jazz musician at weddings doesn't bring fame and fortune.
Being a jazz musician at weddings. Being a jazz musician. This means, what type of music does she play? Definitely it is jazz. Jazz music.
But to be quite honest, I'm not concerned with what anybody thinks about my job. It lets me play music and pays the bills. Now, just because I don't care what people think about my job, it doesn't mean I don't care what people think of me as an artist. Many people who criticise the music industry today point to some mythical golden age when they think it was easier for a working musician to make a living.
So now you are listening, but there is no answer in these sentences. And this is not a problem. When you listen, you do not need to understand everything. When you listen, you don't need to understand everything. You only need to find the answers for the questions in front of your exam paper. So don't worry if you listen to something and you say, oh, I don't understand. That's too difficult, too fast. No, don't think like this. Listen and focus only the questions. And if you don't understand everything, this is not a problem, because this is life. Sometimes even in your first language, you don't understand everything. You don't need to understand everything. You only need to understand the questions and the answers to the questions in the recording.
I don't believe such an age ever existed. All working artists have had to struggle to be creative and make a living doing multiple jobs. It's never been any different, and it may never be. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. Thanks for listening.
So as you can see, at the beginning of the talk, she said making a living as a musician is possible, because she started her career as a musician 10 years ago. And also she said, she's, playing music and she makes money and she uses the money to pay her bills. And this is again at the end of the conversation, or the talk, sorry. And that's why we choose this one. Making a living as a musician is possible. Now the tone, I explained the tone. The tone, it means you have to listen to some words and sentences in her talk, and then you have to feel the tone of her voice to find the answer to this question. But before you answer this question, you have to understand all the words in the question. And when you try to write the answer down, two things you are looking for. I repeat, the tone of the voice, some sentences and words which tell you about the tone of her voice. Now this is, I'm going to play it again. You can see the transcript now, or you can, I think, watch it maybe. This is the transcript. Hi, my name is Dee and I'm a professional musician. This year is my 10th anniversary of making a living through music, and I couldn't be happier with how my life has turned out. As you can see, anything in blue is the answer. So I highlighted the answers for you in blue, so you can look at the questions and you can see the answers now. When I gave up my day job 10 years ago, I had no idea what my life would end up looking like, but I knew that whatever happened, I'd be happier if I at least tried to build my life around my passion for playing music. Artists often like to talk about when they quit their day job. It's a nice way of marking the difference between our pre-artist life and our post-artist life. But in reality, I still have a job. It may not look like yours, but it's still a job. My job is playing at weddings. That's what I do to make a living. And just like a doctor or a salesman, I work hard so that I can make money to live the kind of lifestyle I want. There is more to being a musician than just playing music. So, when I'm not playing gigs, I'm rehearsing, arranging songs, and writing lyrics. Being a jazz musician at weddings doesn't bring fame and fortune. But to be quite honest, I'm not concerned with what anybody thinks about my job. It lets me play music and pays the bills. Now, just because I don't care what people think about my job, it doesn't mean I don't care what people think of me as an artist. Many people who criticize the music industry, of course, today point out to some mythical golden age when they think it was easier for a working musician to make a living. I don't believe such an age ever existed. All working artists have had to struggle, be creative, and make a living doing multiple jobs. It's never been any different, and it may never be. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. Thanks for listening. This is the website for the exam, and you could also, if you want, you could type, as you can see, this into Google, ESOL, City and Guilds, 4692. I think you need to type ESOL one time. No problem if you type it two times, but you can type it before City and Guilds or after City and Guilds. So if you type this into Google, www.google.com, you can find the exam website and the exam practice, paper. Thank you for listening, and this is the end of the recording of activity 1. Thank you and good luck.